You were listening to a Nerd Room podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Be sure to check out more from the Star Wars Commonwealth on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room, where we talk all things Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. This is episode number 107, where we're discussing Black Panther, Venom, and Deadpool. I'm one of your host, Tim.
I'm Troy.
Man, Sanjay gone again.
Where is that guy?
Always MIA. He is getting his ass kicked by a cold, by the flu at the very moment, so he couldn't make the recording, but he will be missed because we have an absolute mountain of news and trailers to get through today. It's unbelievable. We went, like I said, a few weeks ago from almost nothing to just everything at once. It really feels like we're building up to something big here.
Oh, just tons, man. This is just like a geek's dream right now. This week's been just nuts for news content.
Yeah, it's been crazy on the nerd end, and it's been crazy within the Star Wars Commonwealth. We've had a few big announcements over the last couple of days as it relates to the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Number one being, welcome to the Tatooine Sons, the newest members of the Star Wars Commonwealth. We've talked about them a little bit in the past, how great the concept of their show is, where we have a dad in David passing on his Star Wars fandom to his sons, Samuel the Hutt and BB Nate. So shout out to those guys. Welcome to the network. They've got a daily podcast that's going to start on March 1st, and they've also got their weekly podcast, which I believe drops on Fridays. These guys are awesome. A lot of fun, and it's great to see kids kind of jumping in and expressing themselves with the podcast form and talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. Welcome to the team, guys. Looking forward to hearing more of your content. And these guys actually named Porg.
Yes.
As I recall. I saw the Clatter interview, right? So
yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. So shout out to you guys. And man, what a good age it is to be their kids right now.
Oh, man. They're just getting everything, too.
Yeah.
And the fact, too, that they actually, like you said, got the name of Porg, Turbis the Porg.
That's right.
It's a big hashtag going on within the Commonwealth and within Tatooine Sons now, is that Rian Johnson, they're right there in the crowd, and he let one of the sons there name a Porg, and he called out Pablo Hidalgo and said, if you're listening, let's make this happen, which is really cool. So get on that hashtag, Turbis the Porg, make it canon. It's really cool. And they also got a pump from Rian Johnson as well.
That's right.
He called out their podcast and said, you got to listen to these guys.
There's a video of it.
Yeah, it was a video. Yeah.
Kicking out on Twitter.
Yeah, it's dope. So give those guys a follow. Make sure you check them out. They're a ton of fun. They add another great dynamic to this ever-growing Star Wars Commonwealth. There's this whole niche thing going on. Everyone's got their own little piece of the Star Wars pie, and you add it all together, and you get the totality of the Star Wars Commonwealth, which is just a fantastic thing. I can't wait. There's another big announcement coming in a few weeks, maybe. So keep your ears tuned to the Star Wars Commonwealth. And the other big thing we have to talk about quickly here is myself and Mark from TSW took a stab at revamping and updating the Star Wars Commonwealth website at starwarscommonwealth.com. So now it's a big landing hub for the Commonwealth. Each podcast has their own page with their episodes uploaded, any writing that they're doing, their Twitter and Facebook feeds. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for all your Commonwealth podcasting, as well as we're going to start publishing a bit more to this website as well. I threw an article up there just last night about my daughter finding her Star Wars and kind of an experience I had with her that was just a big realization. Mark's doing a ton of stuff. We're seeing each podcast upload every single day because we got daily shows as far as the Commonwealth goes. When you're going from Monday straight through to Friday, there's a publication every single day. So go and check that out. We put a lot of work into this thing. We're really pleased with it. It's a great spot to get all your Star Wars Commonwealth content.
Yeah, man, you called it, man. It's a one-stop shop. Keep it locked here on the Commonwealth.
Yeah, definitely. And I just got to give a shout out to the entire Commonwealth. Everyone there. Everyone is just clipping along, doing great things. The solo commentary has been a ton of fun. And in general, it's such a positive place to be. Everyone from the Knights of the Commonwealth, from the listeners from each and every podcast, right down to the podcast hosts themselves, everyone is incredible. And I just want to thank you guys for making us a part of this much bigger community.
Absolutely, man. It's been so much fun being with you guys. And man, it's been a while now.
Yeah, over a year.
We're not the new kids on the block anymore.
No, man.
Let's go.
All right, my dude. It has been a crazy week in Nerd. But how was your personal week in nerd bin? Have you been doing any comic book reading, catching up there, any collecting?
I went back to Son of Dathomir, man.
Yes.
I got that trade, and I did it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly hooked, and I think the fascinating thing with this book, I mean, one is actually Dark Horse. It wasn't Marvel, but it's cool that's gone over to Marvel. And two, just how much of an easy read it is. It's great. There's not too much dialogue. It felt very much like the Clone Wars because it technically was meant to be an episode or two. But I really like what it did. And now I have the full scope of Darth Maul. Like, this was missing in my Star Wars world because we had the conclusion, obviously, in, was it Twin Sons? Was that the name of it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, where he got taken out, spoiler alerts, by Obi-Wan. But now I got the full grasp of them all, which was great. We got some more Mandalorians in there. And we got a lot of Sidious, a lot of Palpatine, which we don't really get enough of. So all in all, it's a good book. I like the art. That was cool. That's all I did for comic book reading. My daughter and I, we do this thing now where we just watch Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, we're just killing it. We're watching that, and I love that movie. It keeps climbing my charts in the MCU film or universe. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, I would say that's about it, man. You know what I was doing actually a lot of? I was watching the Han Solo trailer a lot.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm really hooked now. After watching it over and over again, I'm buying more and more of the Solo actor.
Yeah, he is really good. I have to agree with you, man. Like, I've been doing a lot of that too. Just in the background, I'm on the bus, whatever. I'll watch a Solo trailer.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like I've been relatively supportive of this from the beginning, and you've kind of come right from one end now into, like, you're hotly anticipating this film.
For sure. I mean, and Last Jedi trailer, it got me. The Last Jedi trailer looked incredible. I was totally on board, and I didn't really care for the movie that much. This movie, though, I wasn't really anticipating much, but the trailer has me hooked. So hopefully this movie delivers on all levels, because right now I'm in this world.
Now, do you think the way Star Wars is marketed, so this is being marketed very differently. Usually you get this flood of trailers, the behind the scenes thing, which is, I think we're expecting here in a couple of days, actually.
Yeah.
But being that we got a trailer, relatively close to the release of the film, not much promo art. We haven't seen really any of the toys other than some of the leaks from Lego on that. Yep. Do you think that Star Wars can afford going into the future to release limited things to build hype for their films, or do you still think they need to go down the similar path that Marvel, Star Wars, all of them do with releasing multiple trailers, TV spots as we get closer? Do you think that Star Wars can take a slight step back and say, look, we're going to build anticipation by pure absence of marketing?
I think we'll know after this movie, to be honest, because I think, The Last Jedi is pretty divided. Most people like Rogue One. Most people like Force Awakens, but I don't think anyone's really been on board like they have been with the OG trilogy.
Yeah,
obviously. So I feel like Solo is it's in a tough spot right now because it really has to do a lot to win over the people like me from Last Jedi and some of the people that don't really want a Solo movie, much like myself again. So it's tough. I still feel like every movie should be marketed properly, and I think they did such a great job with Force Awakens and Rogue One and Last Jedi. I don't see why they would go away from that. And that's kind of what scares me about this movie is why did we have to wait so long to get this trailer? Or
look
even
at the trailer.
Any images?
Look at the quality of it, though, right?
Looks great.
Like, if they had chucked out a subpar trailer with maybe half-finished CGI or even no appearance of the Falcon,
right?
Like, we would have been all over that, saying,
Definitely.
okay, something's going on here. What's wrong? And they released just enough of completed footage, or it appears to be completed footage, to really hook people like yourself and even me that was fully on board with this from the get-go. Because I have this really soft spot for Star Wars. I'm super forgiving of it. But I think that doing it in this order was probably a good way. And, they separated themselves a bit from The Last Jedi. The talk had really died down once they released that trailer.
Yeah.
So they kind of gave themselves a bit of breathing room from that to allow the marketing to die off from The Last Jedi and pick right up with Solo. Because this is the first time that we're really doing this 6-month apart thing.
That's true. My only concern is, do you think enough people know about this movie? That's my only... Because obviously the people in this world of Star Wars, we all know Solo's coming. We've all been waiting for this film. But a lot of people also, at the same time, may not even know there's a Han Solo standalone film coming out.
No, and that Solo Star Wars story tag... Yeah, it's going to be difficult to see if people grasp what it actually is. because we had the death of Han Solo in The Force Awakens.
Right.
The storytelling isn't sequential like people are getting used to with the MCU, the DC Extended Universe, all these films that have been coming out for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And then really rounding out and telling the audience, this is how you need to watch movies now in these universes. Mm-hmm. This is the first time that we're really going into one of these where we're stepping back and forth, back and forth. Every other movie is not really a continuum from the movie before.
Right.
So that's a different style of film watching and requires a slightly larger or slightly higher barrier of entry to a degree. I think you could probably walk into this film and grasp the most of it.
Yeah.
But that was some of the discussion about China.
Yeah.
Is the barrier for entry for Star Wars, is it too high? Do you need to have a full appreciation for the entirety of the universe to get every aspect? Do these films that are acting as prequels and are asking you to know a bit more of the context of the characters, is that, again, another step above The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? Because to me, the barrier for entry for those are lower than these standalone films.
Right. It's tough to say, because, even if you go back to Rogue One, we pretty much kind of knew the outcome of that story already, going back to the original trilogy. Just going off to episode 4.
Yeah.
Han Solo, though, that's a tricky one because we really don't know how it sets. I think this Solo is meant to be 5 years younger than Harrison Ford of A New Hope. Harrison Ford. So,
but you go in and there's Lando, there's Chewbacca, there's Han Solo. So those are characters that I think there has to be some expectation you know who they are.
Yes.
Are they going to spend a ton of time explaining Lando Calrissian? Are they going to explain the dynamic? I guess that we're going to see the dynamic grow between Chewbacca and Han,
right.
But some of that appreciation of that characterization and of that relationship comes from knowing the whole story from A New Hope through Return of the Jedi into The Force Awakens and beyond, right?
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see how people, maybe even like Sanjay, right? He has an appreciation for the films, but maybe not so much the deep understanding of a relationship or a connection between characters.
Right.
To see how he reacts to that, and if it feels like he's missing something. Think about reading a comic book, and you've got issues 1 through 3. You skip 4 and 5 and read the 6th issue in the final arc.
Yeah.
Like, are you kind of going back and forth too much and not getting maybe a chunk of the story, and therefore you can kind of get the end of it, but you don't really get the full scope of the story? That's a bit of my worry with this jumping back and forth and these standalones. They're not really standalones, right?
Yeah, they're not really. It's kind of like, going to the comic book world. It's like reading a Spider-Man comic from issues 1 to 6, but then you see Venom pop up, and you get Venom in that story between 1 and 6. But then it's like, if you like more Venom, go back to Venom number 2, where he's doing his own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're still asking the same thing as what you just mentioned. You kind of have to know a bit more about that character, or where do you jump in? Exactly.
It's a jumping on point issue, right? With comic books and with films here, is it a jumping on issue? Mm-hmm. It's just something that kind of spitballing as we're talking here, and that I just wonder, and I'm curious how people are kind of the outside world is going to react to this.
Yeah.
Like particularly maybe even our wives that don't have that really understand Han Solo and Chewbacca, but don't have that deep knowledge that we've been talking about, right?
That's right.
That connection point between Lando. Like, I'm wondering even if my wife will really remember who Lando is and his importance to the Han Solo story.
Yeah.
And how he is, and why when Donald Glover's sitting there smiling with cards in his hands, we're all freaking out about it.
Losing our minds, right? Well, and that's the thing. I guess the only characters, in my opinion, that could really do this, though, I guess, is a Han Solo, because Harrison Ford is just so big.
Yeah.
So you think of Han Solo, and then an Obi-Wan Kenobi, because everybody knows those guys from Star Wars. Which is kind of weird that we didn't get the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie first in these Star Wars story films, because you think that would be the guy to lead the way, because we had Obi-Wan in the original trilogy. Yeah, and then we obviously had Obi-Wan representing pretty well in the prequels. So everybody...
Clone Wars.
So every generation knows Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Well, yeah, everyone's had... Even the Clone Wars era was a slightly different generation than the prequel era.
Exactly.
And we had him from A New Hope and Empire and all that, right?
Exactly.
So... you're right. There is a bit more of continuity of character through multiple generations. Now, Han Solo, yes, he is a timeless character.
For sure.
But he is very focused in the original trilogy.
Yes.
We don't really have him popping up in the prequels. We don't have him popping up in the prequels, the Clone Wars, Rebels, nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's funny enough, because that's a bit of the article I wrote about my daughter finding her Star Wars. Cool. Is that she really put this like gender divide up between Star Wars and what she likes. She says Star Wars is for boys, and Princess and that are for girls.
Right.
And I kind of always was like, I don't really love this, but I love that she has an interest, a passion, something that she really likes.
Yeah. And
then I thought to myself, well, the Star Wars she knows is my Star Wars.
Yes.
It's the Han Solo, C-3PO, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia.
Yeah.
And she's always kind of like that idea of Princess Leia because she's a princess,
right,
but doesn't really have a full appreciation for the character. So what I did is I sat her in front of an episode of Rebels.
Nice.
And it's the one where Hera's flying the X-Wing and all that. And she freaking loved it. But I didn't tell her what it was. She just referred to it as a spaceship show. And it was cool to watch that having characters like Hera and Sabine be their pathways, their entryway into the universe and making that her Star Wars.
Right.
So I'm hoping that down the road here, she associates Hera and Sabine with her Star Wars. She wants to see more of those characters, whether it's in the comic books, going back and revisiting more Rebels, but she has her entryway in, her generational entryway into Star Wars,
right,
which is different than you and I, right?
Definitely.
It's not through the original trilogy. So this generation, our daughters and kind of the one in between that and our daughters, between us and our daughters, they came in through the prequels and Clone Wars. That's their Star Wars. So it's kind of cool to see that continuum of generations and how this is such a generational franchise and how it means different things to different people. Because you also have, maybe slightly older than our daughters, this original or this new saga tale with Rey and Finn in that, that's going to be their Star Wars.
Exactly.
So everyone's got their own thing, which I really like. And when I sat back and really thought about that, it just blew my mind that there's so many avenues into this universe and it means something different to each person. So the prequels really hit. We're in that kind of in that wheelhouse, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't have the original trilogy, so the prequels were a little bit of our Star Wars.
Yeah, our big screen too. That was our first big screen experience, right?
So it was just an interesting thing as we're kind of talking about Solo there and its appeal to a different audience or a wider audience and how the barrier for entry for Star Wars sometimes is high, but they've provided a much lower one in different avenues for different generations, particularly I find now with females.
Yeah.
With like our young daughters now have a way in through Jyn, Rey, Padme, Princess Leia, Ahsoka, all that, right?
Yes.
Hera, Sabine. It goes on and wild. On.
It's crazy.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's great. And it's so cool because then it opens up, like you mentioned, our daughters are going to grow up with the new trilogy. But then in a sense, like they can go back like prequels.
Yes.
And then like the OG will be their prequels. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's mind blowing. But man, they're doing a great job with all that stuff. So
yeah, they certainly are. They certainly are.
Yeah.
And speaking a bit about Star Wars here, as we were going on here, On the Hunt, I'm eagerly anticipating the drop of the Han Solo figure. So this Saturday, actually, the 17th, New York Toy Fair starts.
Nice.
And it goes through until Tuesday. So we should see the Han Solo Legends and a few other of the merchandise.
Or Black Series.
Oh, sorry. Legends. We will see Legends as well, but we're going to see the Han Solo Black Series. Yes, thank you for correcting me. And also we'll get the Infinity War Legends we should get at Toy Fair this weekend too. We've had a relatively good look at them from the leaks online.
Yeah.
But hopefully maybe they give some indication of what we're going to see in the second wave. And maybe a bit better look at maybe do you think we're going to get a armored up Thanos?
Well, I saw online the full model of the Build-A-Figure Thanos being rotated. He looks pretty good. He actually looks like a 6-inch or 7-inch hot toy. But the fully armored one, I don't think so. I wonder, they Avengers don't need 4? To explain it, but we see it at the end of Avengers, him kind of looking like the classic comic Thanos, right? With the crown and whatnot.
Yeah, and even in Guardians, he is fully armored up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I wonder if they've just kind of gone away from that design.
I don't know. There has to be an in-movie explanation for it.
Yeah.
Because that's the classic Thanos. Like the Thanos we're seeing in the films is much more
farmer.
Farmer. The post-Infinity Gauntlet Thanos, I believe it's Infinity Gauntlet, somewhere in there, where he's kind of a farmer.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but I'm looking forward to seeing these Legends in the full flesh, full pictures, as well as these Black Series.
Definitely.
Because the Black Series on the pegs right now are stacked deep. You can get anything you want from the last 2 or 3 waves here in Canada. And I'm even seeing now those deluxe vehicles, the speeders.
Oh, yeah.
Luke Speeder and Rey Speeder. They're discounted down now to $69 from $100.
And that's at Toys R Us?
That's at Toys R Us.
Oh, yeah, so it's going to drop.
And they're still stacked deep. Like, no one's even grabbing those yet.
No one's budging on those.
They got to go down at least another $20 for me to even look twice at them. Like, they got to be around the $45 mark.
And I'm cool with that, for sure. Because they're crafted well, they look great, but I'm not dropping $70 on those.
They're still too high. I tweeted that. I said, you got $20 more to go before I start to really contemplate these things.
We're going to get there.
I think we will, too, because no one's touching them at $70.
Yeah.
They're still too expensive. I get that there's a big vehicle in there and there's a legend in there. Black Series in there that's worth about $30, and I'm willing to pay maybe another 20 for the crafted vehicle.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I just can't justify that anymore.
Yeah.
Less or any more than $50.
Especially when it comes to space-wise too, it's not the easiest thing to display. I guess those two aren't too bad.
I'll pull them out of the box. But
for sure.
My giant TIE fighter. What am I going to do with that? There's not even any space for it.
Chandelier.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. No, and then the rest of my weekend nerd consisted of reading some Guardians of the Galaxy up to issue 150. Return of Adam Warlock. I picked up Infinity Countdown Warlock. So we're getting into this event that we've mentioned before that's going to run parallel with the Infinity War film. So I'm really looking forward to that. I got to give a shout out to my good friend over there at Talk Stars, Mark. He fired me over some beautiful, beautiful Last Jedi posters. We did a little bit of exchange. I sent him some vintage figures. He fired me over these posters. They're absolutely gorgeous. I'll throw an image up on Twitter after we're done recording here. But thank you, man. So stoked to have these. Going to get them up, framed right here in the Nerd Room. I love The Last Jedi. These posters are incredible. We got some, we got the AT-ATs or the big gorilla walkers. We got beautiful poster here of Snoke's throne room with the Praetorian guards.
Yeah, they're awesome, man. It has a real cool 80s vintage Hobbit feel, like the cartoon movie Hobbit. Looks so cool, man. That's a damn great looking posters.
Yeah.
Gotta get them framed up, right?
Yeah, the Commonwealth coming together, supporting each other on the hunt.
Nice.
All right, man. We've got a ton of news to skip through here over the next little bit. Before we get into a little bit more depth and discussion of Black Panther, we're going to do a prelude episode here. Now, this is going to be spoiler free. We're just going to ask a few questions and talk about a few of the key players and some of the key environments that we're going to see in this film to just give you guys a bit of a flavor for the movie and the universe that you're going to be walking into, so you understand a bit more, and maybe that barrier for entry is just a bit lower than it would be in the absence of that. So we're going to talk a bit about Necropolis, Wakanda, the heart-shaped herbs, so some of the elements that we think are going to be in the film, but we're not going to go too far into this. And then we're also going to do a little bit of a question and answer period, just talking a bit about what some of our predictions are, whether it's box office, are we going to see an Infinity Stone, maybe a cameo or two, all spoiler free. We're going to get into that a little later on in the episode. But first, we got to talk a little bit of DC here.
Yeah.
I believe Justice League actually is out on Blu-ray right now.
Digitally, yeah.
Digitally, yeah. Because I was playing at the comic book shop when I was there last week.
Nice.
But the scene they teased, the Superman scene that was not in the film, they actually released that, or someone released that online, and I watched it. Now, I speculated that it was simply going to be something or extension of the cornfield scene. It wasn't that. It was actually something to do with the Superman black suit. What are your thoughts on this scene? You got Clark Kent walking into the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
Or at least the spacecraft that's up in the Arctic, wherever it is.
Yeah.
And he walks in, and we see these suits coming out of the wall, I guess. And this is where he eventually picks up the Superman suit that he wears for the final battle. But as he's walking through this hallway, a black suit pops out from a closet or whatever, some storage facility, and it kind of does a rotation, and then it goes back in with his back turned to it. Now, do you think this is a missed opportunity? Is there any other situation that you feel that we'll see that black suit, or is this just a nice nod for the fans and we're never going to see this again?
Well, it's hard to say. I think the clip was about 51 seconds.
Yeah.
And I believe I heard on the Blu-ray extras it's going to be actually 2 minutes, so I guess there's still more to this scene that we haven't seen yet. But I mean, the black suit looks kind of cool. We all speculated it was there. I mean, we kind of knew it was there, and I believe Zack Snyder shot this one. So this wasn't Joss Whedon that did this. Henry Cavill looks normal. His face looks good. But I don't know, man. We might have never gotten this suit. Like, it would have never been on him. Maybe it was just a little nod in the background. Maybe he never actually wore this suit. I still feel like he probably did, because there's parts of the movie where he looks very CG, and it looks like they digitally took off the costume. But all in all, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I wish he had the suit. Yeah, I think it would have been cool. But all in all, it didn't take away anything from me from the Superman. This is still, in my opinion, the best Superman we've had in the DC EU. Outside of Man of Steel. So I really like what they did there. It's unfortunate we didn't get the black suit, but I was never really like super big on like the black suit on Superman as I was with, say, Spider-Man in the black suit, right? So all in all, it's cool, but I guess I gotta wait and see on the Blu-ray what we get in that the whole 2 minutes of that scene.
Yeah, I wonder if this black suit wouldn't have taken away from that characterization that you're talking about.
Right.
You would have probably had to have Superman come back a little earlier in the film to get into the black suit and then eventually get into the blue and white.
Yes.
Because you guys were saying this is the best Superman you've seen to date in the DCU. You just said that.
Yeah.
But if they had shoved him into the black suit, he would have had to have had a slightly different characterization than he did towards the end of this film, this kind of upbeat Superman that you guys were ready for.
Yes.
If they had done the black suit, you're now looking at spending a bit of time in that and then having to tell a bit of a story how he transitions back into the Superman that you guys loved at the end of this film.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this is just a really nice nod for the universe. I don't really need to see him in the black suit. I would have maybe liked it or thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have fit into this film. And outside of this film, I don't really see him going back to that black suit.
Yeah, the opportunity's over.
Yeah, I think it's gone and done. The death of Superman and his subsequent revival kind of maybe calls to having that black suit because he can wake up as someone slightly different.
Yeah.
But now that we've gone through that transition back to your upbeat Superman, there seems to be no room for that anymore. And I'm fine with that.
For sure. And like you mentioned, like we got the upbeat Superman, and I feel like for the last, 2 movies we saw him appear in, he's kind of been a little negative, a little down, so it would have been kind of weird to like bring him back as like a bad, darker Superman, but we've had him dark for the last 2 films and then make him upbeat. I feel like they just got rid of that and made him the true blue that he's meant to be.
Yeah.
So.
Should they have done the black suit really early on, like kind of proto suit in Man of Steel? Similar to like what Zod had, and weren't they wearing a form of the black suit on Krypton?
Zod, it looked like Zod was actually, like, even when he is fighting them on Earth, it did look like it. I wish they kind of did the Action Comics Superman New 52, where he kind of wears his shirt and it has like the Superman symbol, but he has jeans on. I guess it's a different tone for that universe that they set up. But I like Superman Clark Kent just being kind of the Smallville, working under the scenes, and then eventually wearing the big blue suit. I'm a sucker for just the blue suit, really.
Classic Superman.
Yes.
Yeah, and you got it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, sticking with DC here, this film Lobo that it was kind of tossed out there.
Yeah.
And Michael Bay, is his name attached to it, or is that just a bit of back and forth online? Is Michael Bay entering into the DC Extended Universe?
Might be. He might be. I guess if the budget's right, because Michael Bay is normally doing these high budget films, but he's not going to get a $200 million budget for this one.
No,
especially after the last movie.
Yeah, he wants a lower budget on it.
Yeah, I think rumors are about 70 to 50 mil. Ooh. Which, I mean, for Lobo is okay, because it's like, you got to think Guardians meets like Bounty Hunter, Deadpool. Not as funny as Deadpool, but I think that's what it could be for the DC EU.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I would like to see Max Landis, the guy that did Chronicle.
Yeah.
He also did Bright, and he wrote a cool 6-mini run on American Alien, which is his own take on Superman. I'd like to see him write and team up with Michael Bay. I think that would kind of be a cool combo, just because in that mini run, we got to see Superman versus Lobo. And I think it'd be kind of cool in this universe if you could kind of tease, seeing how they haven't confirmed a Superman movie yet, if you could tease like a fight between those two, and you could kind of toss in Superman in the Shazam film, and kind of treat Superman kind of like how Marvel's been treating Thanos, and kind of just build him up, except on the flip side, to make him like the good guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you finally drop him and give us like a cool Superman film and just build this character up. I think that'd be kind of neat and a different take on the world they've established already. So anyways, a little bit of a side tangent. I'm kind of excited for the Lobo film. I've never been a big Lobo guy. But I'm curious. This actually intrigues me more than like the Shazam and some of the other things they've mentioned.
Shazam, I really, to be honest with you, have zero interest.
Kind of checked out. Yeah.
And too with Michael Bay. Now, he's an interesting choice if you were, in fact, to get this film. But if you look at some of his early stuff and Pain and Gain,
right,
that he did on a really low budget, it was actually a decent film.
Watchable for sure.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg and Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
So it had a really good cast. And yeah, it wasn't spectacular or anything like that. But if you're looking for a film to just watch, Pain and Gain, it's kind of funny. It doesn't feel like a Michael Bay film, but it is.
It's super action packed, right?
Yeah. And he did that other one,
The Rock.
The Rock. I love all his other stuff, Armageddon, all that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But he did another military one recently, I think, too.
The 13th Hour.
Yeah, 13th Hour. That's the Benghazi thing. It was actually decent too.
It was
John
cool.
Krasinski was in it.
Yeah.
It was a good film. I really enjoyed it. I think Chris Pratt wasn't in that one. But anyways, it was decent as well.
Yeah, if you could kind of stay in that kind of playing field, I'd be down with it. Keep the Transformers somewhere else. And
well, you just can't have the U.S. military in the film. They kind of had to give him free reign there for a while to use whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
just blow everything up. It's fine. Don't worry about it, Michael Bay. Oh well, it's good news, I think, coming out of the DCU. No matter what they're doing or what they're planning, they continue to at least keep the name of these characters in people's minds. And whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But they just got to, roll Aquaman out here, get some momentum behind him, and Wonder Woman, and then we can start to see some of these different films. So they just got to nail something down here. Whether it's Michael Bay directing Lobo, or whether it's a new Superman film, anything, something, just get some concrete ideas out there. Because if you look at what Marvel's doing right now, like they just are celebrating their 10th anniversary of the MCU. They put out this gorgeous photo, this class photo of almost everyone that's been in an MCU film. And there's got to be 100 people in that photo.
Huge.
And it was really cool because it was paired up also with a video. If you go look at their Twitter feed, their Marvel Studios, they've got this really nice video walking through the celebration that they had, I believe, in October. And it was awesome to see how big this universe is. And it actually gave me goosebumps and got me a bit emotional because of the attachment we have to this universe. We've invested the time into this universe over the last 10 years, starting with Iron Man. We're doing the retrospective series. We're adamant about going to see these films on opening weekend. We collect the legends. We have a huge connection to this universe. And to see the outpouring of passion and commitment that guys like Feige and Robert Downey Jr., Evans, Pratt, all these guys have, and the appreciation for what they've constructed means a lot to me as someone that sat and invested so many hours into these films, into this universe. Are you getting that same feeling from all of this?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. If you go back and look at that photo, I feel pretty much how Paul Rudd's sitting in that photo, just giddy and excited.
He is sitting there like a big goofball, right?
And I love it. It's cool just looking through and being like, hey, there's my favorite, and there's that person, there's that girl, and I love the photo. It's so cool, and I'm so excited for this MCU that they've established, and especially hearing Kevin Feige be like, and here's to the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. It's so cool because I always go back to Iron Man and Avengers, just getting like that foreshadowing of like, wow, we're gonna see the Avengers all on the big screen. I think it was we talked about in the retrospective series. I think it was Captain America, First Avenger, when we got the first kind of trailer teaser of Avengers. It was, right? Yeah. And we get to see Thor there, and they're all in the helicarrier, and I'm just like, wow. And the guy came out being like, make sure you stay tuned after this movie because we got a special little feature. And to see it all come together and where it is now, it's just unreal. And Kevin Feige, his foresight, his vision has just been outstanding, and picking guys like James Gunn and the Russo brothers and Ryan Coogler to come along on this ride, and then making the Sony deal happen with Spider-Man. It's unreal. It's never been done before, and I can't wait for the next 10 years.
No, it's never going to be replicated either.
No.
I think it's impossible to do again what Marvel Studios have done. We've seen it tried through numerous different universes, and for whatever reason, whether it's that they've never had the foresight, whether they've never had a champion of the universe to guide them through and direct them through these big hurdles that they had to get over. We talked about, again, on the retrospective, it's they had to assemble the Avengers. They had to do the solo franchises, get some traction, pull them together, but then also split them all back apart and have these individual solo franchises running, introduce new characters like Ant-Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel coming up here, like Doctor Strange. Like there's so many characters that they've now introduced to run with this universe. And then you look at the reception that Black Panther's getting right now. Unreal. It's at like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. Yeah. And people are calling this a revolutionary film, a game changer for the genre of comic book films. It's incredible to see that they've been able to take from very humble beginnings with Robert Downey Jr., a very risky actor at that, to lead this universe into what it is now, a global juggernaut, if I can use that word, that phrase from the X-Men universe. It's incredible to have watched, and just the reflection back on a lot of this through the retrospective series and through these vignettes and these videos that they're putting out kind of periodically to celebrate the 10th anniversary. And this even extends into collecting, because you brought to my attention right when you came in here that it looks like potentially Hasbro is doing a 10th anniversary line and re-releasing some action figures. And adding on to the Marvel Legends, we're getting a Crossbones potentially, a resculpted Captain America from would have been, it looks like Crossbones from Civil War, yeah. And for the first time ever, a Marvel Legends or a Legends type of figure of the Iron Man armor from Avengers.
Yeah. Because I think we only got him in, you probably have him for the Select line, that armor.
Yeah, that armor for the Select line. Yeah. And there was a line of Walmart exclusive in the US of 6-inch figures.
Oh.
That did run with the Avengers, but they're very, very difficult to get. And they weren't in that branded Marvel Legends line. That was before.
Right.
Because it was really after Iron Man 3 when the Legends popped up. So the first full set of Legends that were MCU based, I think, was Winter Soldier.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. When the Cap's suit was a little more blue.
Yeah, the dark blue. The other one. When it came, like in the packaging that we know now, there was the card back packaging, which Iron Man 3 came in, but they weren't so much MCU figures at that point. They still had a comic book twist to them because there was an Iron Patriot in there as well.
Right.
But I don't think it was the Rhodey Iron Patriot from Iron Man.
He's the Osborn.
Yeah, there's nothing for Thor the Dark World. But Winter Soldier is when I remember first getting MCU Legends in 2014.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's cool. And going back to the MCU, the celebration of it all, you gotta give your hat off to Kevin Feige, because this guy's like us. Like, he's like a nerd. He loves comic books. Clearly, I mean, he worked on X-Men and Daredevil and Spider-Man. The Sam Raimi version, and obviously he's paid his dues and he's learned a lot. I think he's even trying to from way back then put I think Wolverine or Hugh Jackman in the Spider-Man film just to have them cross paths. He's been trying hard to get this universe off the ground, and he's paid his dues. Whereas you got these other guys, I don't know their backstory well enough, but they're trying to cut corners. Whereas he served the time, and it shows.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's like, even like Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, right. She was a producer on probably every amazing '80s film, like Goonies, everything, right? And you now look what she's doing, what she's crafting in the Star Wars universe. It's having the ability to have this long-term view of things, and again having a champion for the universe. And that means sometimes making not pleasant decisions, like cutting Lord Miller. And you look at Feige, he's cut directors and even actors out of the MCU, and it's for the betterment of the universe. I think.
Great.
Right. And so, I think hats off to Marvel Studios there. Of course, me in particular are very favorable and very positive about Marvel Studios. But I think the work, the effort, the passion for putting to screen something that people like you and I can really appreciate, but then also grabs the much wider audience. Yeah. There's the nods to us, and then there's this whole idea of this big universe that people love watching now. Yeah. Like Marvel films are event films now. It's not just Avengers. It's a Marvel film. I get people that text me and say, okay, when are we going to Black Panther? When are we going to Infinity War? I get people texting me already. Have you bought tickets? Yeah. I want a ticket for Infinity War. I want to be there and experience that whole event style thing, the same way Star Wars is right now. And I think that is all about how they've constructed this over the last 10 years.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like you said, it's bringing in that new audience, because not all these people read the comics, but they're showing up opening night for these films. And I just think that's so cool, because you and I can have conversations about comic books, but I can also have a conversation with a buddy at work about the latest Thor Ragnarok, who's never picked up a Thor comic book, but is so in tune with Chris Hemsworth's version or portrayal of the character. And I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun when you have someone asking questions, because they know that you're into that. Like, what's the deal with this hammer? And what's the deal with Loki? Like, how is their relationship? And is Hela from the comic books? Like, I get a lot of those questions. Is this from the comic books? What's like... And I really love that people are showing interest because of the films. And that's exactly what they want.
Definitely.
Like, I wonder, and it'd be really hard to calibrate, right? But I wonder how many people have gone from an MCU film into now comic book reading. Right. I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I guess so. That's right, with Cap.
Yeah, I watched Captain America and I said, all right, I'm in. I'm in for this universe. I'm in for comic book reading, and I've never looked back.
That's awesome.
Since 2011.
Yeah.
And I was late in life coming into comic books. I didn't read them as a child.
Yeah.
It was very much so the MCU that brought me in to comic book reading. And now I have thousands of comic books. And thousands of dollars gone. We're not going to add up money here. But kind of running with Marvel and universes, we've got a few trailers here for some Marvel films that will be dropping this year. One being Deadpool, which drops, I believe, on May 18th, just before Solo and just after Infinity War.
Yeah.
And also Venom. Now, this is a film that comes out in early October.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised that they teased that a trailer was coming, and then they actually gave us a trailer. Now, the trailer itself doesn't show a lot, but I have to say, it kind of intrigued me.
Well, and that's why I think they did exactly what they did when they did it. Because it comes out so late.
Yeah.
It comes out in October. I think, me, I love this trailer, I gotta say. Sanjay might be onto something here with having that in his pick. I wasn't really anticipating the Venom movie that much, especially on these shaky waters. We don't know if Spider-Man Tom Holland is going to be there or not. But a lot of the complaints I've seen online is there's no Venom costume. And I think it might be because it might not just be ready.
I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah.
I think that they literally are not done the CGI or even close to.
For sure, because we saw the symbiote in the container, but we didn't see the full-blown costume.
No, and they don't want to put a half-finished product out there, right?
They get their ass chewed.
Exactly. Like, we would definitely dig into them if they walked out with a trailer and said, here's the Venom film, and you've got this awful-looking, subpar Spider-Man 3-looking Venom.
Yeah, exactly. Because look what happened with Cyborg.
Yeah.
Like, he never recovered from that. Cyborg was okay in that movie, but he looked horrible even in that movie. And I think the first trailer dropped, everybody was criticizing his CG.
It looked like something from a Nintendo 64, all polygonal and all that. Like, it looked really
brutal.
weird.
It was absolutely brutal.
But it's an interesting time, though, with it's kind of going back to Venom here.
Yeah.
And the how and why they dropped the trailer in this way. Because, to me, it's still early.
Yeah.
But creating this buzz in and around Solo, Infinity War, Black Panther, Deadpool, why would you want your film to kind of get lost? Because this is the type of trailer, although it hit and it was pretty good, it intrigued me, but it's going to be forgotten within a week or two here. No one's going to remember what this is. And being the way that they structured it, no one's going to know it's a comic book movie. Maybe that's not what they want.
Yeah.
But no one's going to associate this with the Venom from Spider-Man 3. So maybe they are creating a separation between the two. But I was really surprised that they didn't toss out Tom Holland if he's actually in this.
Well, that's the only thing too, right? I mean, we don't know still exactly where Infinity War is going to go, and if there might be a symbiont in that movie. I still doubt it. We don't even know if it's even connected in that same world. But it is interesting time, and it's still kind of how I feel like with the whole Ant-Man and the Wasp. I still feel like that was kind of weird when they placed it, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense because we have Infinity War, Black Panther's hot right now. It's still the whole universe. But going off this trailer, I really do like the over-the-shoulder shots going on.
Yes.
And how the rest of the city is like changing. The environment's changing. It reminds me of like a Batman Arkham game, how a lot of these games are kind of done. I really like the over-the-shoulder approach.
Yeah, they've got some really cool scenes in here. Now, it's heavily focused in on Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
It's almost him that drew me in more than anything.
Yeah.
The presence of Hardy. And here, we're kind of got the trailer here on in the background here. But yeah, these over-the-shoulder shots, it's interesting. Like, is that a conscious choice? Like, something's watching him? I wonder if they're trying to tell us something more about how, and the way they use the cameras, about Tom Hardy and the separation of the symbiote suit. I may be reading way too much into this. But I do like that point that you're pulling there, that you're looking at Tom Hardy, the back of him, quite a bit.
That's right.
And now they establish here within the trailer that the Venom or the symbiote definitely does come from space somewhere. It looks like there's some sort of crash shuttle here.
Some Stranger Things stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly.
We see him going under the MRI, which is interesting because in the comics, I think it's just before he becomes anti-Venom, which is Venom, but the white version of it. Eddie Brock, he was diagnosed with cancer. So it'd be interesting if they kind of skipped a lot of the stuff we already know about the character and he already has cancer, and if he gets the costume, maybe it cures him. Kind of like what they did in the Ultimate Universe, where Peter Parker and Eddie Brock's parents were creating the costume to cure cancer. So maybe they're taking a bit of the Ultimate Universe, a little bit of the 616, and they're kind of putting it together. That'd be an interesting approach.
Yeah, because we see the symbiote here, like you mentioned there. It's in a container. And there appears to be some, I'm not sure of the characters here. I'm not super familiar with the Venom Spider-Man side of things.
Right.
But there seems to be someone that is, again, using this for maybe some sort of super soldier program.
Right.
But he likely becomes infected with it. I'm wondering if they're teasing a bit here with the symbiote and maybe being separated to some degree. You're getting Venom, but also maybe a tease of Carnage to a degree.
Right. Yeah, because we did see, I forgot the actor's name, but he played, is it Bodhi from Rogue One?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because we saw him just a little bit earlier. So I think he was rumored to maybe possibly even be Carnage. So you might be bang on the money with the Carnage reference there. Yeah.
I think they have to do something like that if they're making him an anti-hero of sorts.
Yes.
And the one thing here that's also in there is just this almost force like swing. He does kind of some sort of swing, and all these computers and all that go flying off the desks.
Yeah.
So is that within a normal Venom?
Never seen him do that without the costume on, at least. Without the tentacles going all over the place.
Yeah, and then right at the end there's the scene with Tom Hardy kind of freaking out in the MRI.
That's great.
Yeah, it kind of gives it a horror vibe.
Yes.
A bit. The way the camera angle works there, and it kind of twitches around.
Right, and it goes on for quite a while to really get that effect.
And that to me really was like, okay, maybe we're looking at something a little bit different here.
Yeah.
Which I can get on board with. Like I said at the start, I have no real interest in this film. But now I do.
Yeah.
I said it on Twitter when it first came out. I said, okay, you've got my attention. Now the next step is put out a trailer, whether it's sometime in the summer or whatever, that has a fully fledged, really good looking suit.
Yes.
Now, for the suit, what are you looking for in the Venom suit? Can it be a bit rough? Does it have to be comic accurate? What's are you hoping for to see in the next trailer?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I still don't know if this fits in the MCU, and we do know with the MCU, their costume designs, they've worked every time, but they're very kind of like patchy, if that makes any sense. You know, there's a look to the MCU costumes, and we've never seen anything like a Venom done before. So it's hard to imagine where he would fit if he's in that world. But if it's not connected to the MCU, then for sure I want to see a full-blown, I don't want to say CGI fest, but I do want to see Venom look kind of comic accurate. I want him to be big. I don't want him to be like the little Venom that we did see in Spider-Man 3. And I'm pretty sure this is Eddie Brock, so it should look more like the Eddie Brock Venom as opposed to the Flash Thompson's Venom character.
For me, it's got to be... It can't be a crisp, clean CGI suit.
No.
There's got to be some almost grittiness to it, some imperfections about the suit.
Right.
Because if we get something that looks similar to the comics, or even what we got in Spider-Man 3,
right,
I don't think it's going to fit in the tone that they've seemingly set for this.
Right.
I get this feeling that it's going to be this relationship where... And the suit should reflect this, because the suit should almost play a character as well.
Yes.
That he's going to be trying to push it off him. It's going to be trying to get off him, but they're going to have to work together in some way.
Okay.
Like almost that symbiotic relationship.
Right. So it's like half on, half off.
Yeah. And so it's kind of always moving and changing, and you're seeing patches of him underneath.
Right.
And, you know what I mean?
Skin and everything.
Yeah. I don't want it to be this like clean...
Right.
shiny costume.
Right.
Like almost like a Spider-Man costume on Tom Hardy. It's got to be...
Right.
They almost have that horror vibe to it. Like I'm almost would be happy if we get a lot of scenes in the night.
Yeah, in the shadows lurking.
Where it's a lot of about the imperfection of the suit and this relationship between the two of them. Like would you be cool with... I don't even know if this ever happened in comics. If the Venom suit and Eddie Brock are almost... kind of communicating a bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they'd really demonstrate that. But almost having that relationship where it's like, okay, you need me, I need you for now.
Yeah.
Because you're curing my cancer and I'm acting as a host for you.
Well, that's always been the cool thing with the relationship is that they need each other. You know, Venom's always, or Eddie Brock's always been like, we are one. They really do bond together. So it would be kind of cool going off with what you said if you see them throughout the movie maybe kind of fighting back and forth until the end they realize they are one, and then you see the suit maybe even clean up a little bit more so. But I would like to see that tension between the two of them at first. But yeah, it's just so hard to say. I really do hope we see kind of like, if you go back, and the movie wasn't good, but if you go back to Spawn, and how that costume was, but done better in 2018, I think that could be kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah.
So one to watch, I think. It comes out in October, so we're months and months. We got a ton of movies to get through before then. But it might be something that really hits the radar in October, because that's traditionally kind of a low month. Yeah. That's when you're getting your horror films.
Exactly.
Right?
So that will be interesting if it's going to go with that horror crowd.
Yeah, because we had the mutant movie that
New Mutants.
New Mutants
got pushed back.
Yeah, pushed way back, but that originally had that horror-esque vibe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're trying to take a similar path and going into the genre switching within the comic book movie world and how this can be a horror that also has the comic book movie twist to it.
That's right.
I like doing that. I like seeing that. So hopefully this continues down a very favorable path, and the next trailer or image we get is a very well-formed Venom suit, or well-formed in the sense that it's done well on CGI. Yeah. I think it's good they left it out. I think so too. Really good choice.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Builds enough hype because people, again, coming back to this trailer and the time it's dropped, is people aren't going to remember the fact that there wasn't Venom in here, but they surely would remember if there was a shitty one in there.
Yes. Sony doesn't want that.
No, not at all. Well played, Sony. Well played. Now, the next trailer we're going to talk about here is Deadpool 2. This trailer is called Deadpool Meet Cable. Now, they've taken an interesting approach with Deadpool as a whole. Their marketing, as we've mentioned in the past, is extremely different from what they'd done before. If you remember, I guess tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and I think this came out around this weekend.
Yep.
2 years ago, yeah. Yep. And they really played off the idea that this was a romantic comedy and had this like guerrilla marketing and all that. They're not doing that here. They're playing very much the fourth wall breaking and letting Deadpool do some of almost the skits that he did before.
Yeah.
And you see some of that in this trailer, but this is a kind of a weird combination of a serious Cable villain, or not so much villain, anti-hero, whatever you want to call him.
Right.
And you layer that now into a Deadpool film.
Right.
Because the start of this, it feels very much like an X-Men movie.
Definitely. Well, Days of Future Past.
Yes.
I'm like, where's this movie? I really want to see this movie. I want to see him pop up at the end of Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
It starts off pretty, I guess, generic, like every other comic book trailer in a sense, but this really had my interest. For sure.
Yeah, right here in Deadpool. Cable looks great. Josh Brolin looks awesome.
Yeah.
And then it really switches tones here. And you know what? This is very appropriate.
Yeah.
I think for a Deadpool film. It has a nice knock at CGI being incomplete, which is exactly what we were just talking about with Venom. It makes a reference to removing a mustache, which is hilarious. Nice knock at DC.
Yeah.
And it also has a really cool nod to Infinity War or Thanos. Josh Brolin, who plays Thanos as well.
Right.
When Deadpool says, "Oh, fine, I'll do it myself."
Exactly.
Coming out of Age of Ultron.
That's right.
So I absolutely love that. Then we walk into this really strange but also hilarious, I think really hilarious, Deadpool scene where he's biding time so that they can finish up the CGI here. And there's a nod to Disney with the Sheriff Woody here.
That's right. Toy Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this might be a scene that we see or something very familiar or similar to this in the film itself, where you have Deadpool versus Cable in the middle of a street. We kind of get some scenes from that a little later on.
Yeah.
But, Ryan Reynolds in this character is awesome. I really like this. It's kind of different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's not the same as we'd seen in the past, but this is very much Deadpool.
Yeah, it definitely appeals to the audience that they've built up and gained from the last movie that came out 2 years ago. All in all, it's pretty good. I only worry if we're going to get played out by the fourth wall stuff a bit. I hope not. I hope they don't do it too often, because the last movie was such a surprise hit.
Yes.
That I'm worried if they keep walking down that path, it might be a little, I don't know, but that's the good thing with having Cable in here. Maybe it'll balance it out quite a bit, because he'll be the straight man the whole time. I assume so.
Yeah, because I agree with you. The whole Cable aspect of it's going to be an interesting thing to watch, because their dynamic has to be very well executed for it to be a Deadpool film, but also take this character, which seemingly looks awesome. You get a great fight scene with him here. Mm-hmm. CGI, the eye looks great.
Oh, yeah.
The arm looks awesome. He looks like a character that should have been in like Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Maybe centered around him a bit more.
Definitely.
But balancing out the tone that they're setting here with Cable and also the tone that they have with Deadpool, and we see throughout the majority of the trailer, it's going to be a difficult thing. It's going to be two worlds really melding together.
Yeah.
And that may or may not cause a few issues within the film itself.
That's right.
Now, we see a lot of different mutants here.
Yeah.
And it looks like there seems to be at least an element of this whole idea of mutants being captured and transported in these big containers that you see on the road. We see Domino in here.
Yeah.
There's a few other mutants. We get maybe an X-Force type of tease here when they're up in the plane.
That's right. Terry Crews. I don't know who he's playing, but I had no idea he's even in this film.
No, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's going to be expanding a bit more on the mutant or X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Maybe more X-Men adjacent universe. We're going to get a lot of references probably to, hey, why is there all of a sudden all these mutants in this film? But I think it looks like a lot of fun, and it looks like a good film. Like, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. It looks like it's coming right off the heels again off of part 1 there, and Ryan Reynolds just owns this character. He's so good. Got some good humor in there too with I can't remember the lady, the blind
some owl.
But I just like how he corrects her aiming. Stuff like that it's just great, and I can't wait to see this movie. They must feel pretty confident putting in that May 18th slot.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that we kind of bash around a little bit here on the podcast as to why you'd want to do that. Your audience isn't particularly the same as it is for Infinity War or Solo, but there's still going to be some overlap. Like, your Venn diagram isn't going to be as big as, say, the crossover isn't going to be as big as like Solo and Infinity War.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be a small chunk of that audience that is going to go out and see this, not so much instead of Solo or Infinity War, but at the same time. So you're wondering if you're fatiguing your general audience a little bit.
That's right.
And maybe that's what they're trying to capture is let's get out of what is it, June into May, kind of the start of this whole big build up through basically Infinity War, this Solo, Wrinkle in Time,
Jurassic
World's in there.
Yeah.
I think Ready Player One's in there somewhere as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of big films coming out. So it may be a good idea to get in front of some of these and just say, look, we have a very niche crowd.
Yeah.
We don't need to capture the audiences being a rated R that all these other films are going to want.
True.
So let's get out there and maybe we'll run through and be the alternative when all these other films are out there.
That's right.
So overall, I'm pretty excited for this. Great trailer.
Yeah.
It does what it needs to do. It really introduced us to Cable for the first time. We've seen some images. Didn't get much of him in that Bob Ross thing or anything like that.
No.
But he looks awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Cable. This is a character that I'm familiar with through the series of AVX in the comics.
Yeah.
So this is in 2011. Haven't read much of him recently. He spent some time in X-Force and all that.
That's right.
But he's a character I'm super thrilled to see, and Josh Brolin looks awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I think it's the same director that did the first John Wick and Atomic Blonde.
Yes.
And I liked John Wick. I didn't see Atomic Blonde, so don't know where he's going to sit for me here yet.
Yeah. So hopefully they continue that same dynamic and really put to screen something that's similar but different. That's what we've been saying since that Deadpool film is they can't do a repeat. And oftentimes you do see this with sequels, but they can't do a repeat of Deadpool 1.
No.
They have to evolve the idea and that real niche genre that they captured within Deadpool and do something slightly different. And Cable, the insertion of Domino and a lot more characters may just do that. So overall, super pumped to see this.
I'm on it.
Yeah. Now, a film that we're all excited to see. It drops this coming Thursday evening, Friday being the official opening day. And like we do before every big Marvel or DC Star Wars film, we like to walk through a bit of a prelude and give maybe just a little information and discuss a little bit about what we think this movie is going to be. Now, I will say spoilers. We have not seen the film. We don't watch a ton of the trailers. I feel that they've marketed this really interestingly because they've let the hype behind it carry a lot of the marketing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the trailers that I've seen are very similar trailers. They're not showing us everything, which I really like. But we're going to walk through some of the comic book appearances of Black Panther and some of the key players and locations that we're probably going to see in the film, just to give you guys that little bit of a leg up walking into this film so that you're able to watch it unfold and not have to think about, now, what is the heart-shaped herb? And why is T'Challa so powerful that he can go hand-to-hand with Captain America?
Yeah.
So this movie is just being called an absolute phenomenon. It has got rave reviews. Like we said at the top, it's becoming already a very important cultural film. And it's changing the genre. It's changing comic book films again. So we saw a big step last year with Wonder Woman. This is the next big step for the genre itself. Now, if you look at Black Panther going back to his origins, his first comic book appearance was in Fantastic Four number 52. He's created by Stan Lee and Jack King Kirby. So two of the greats creating this character. Now, Black Panther, the same way that he is the first African American to run or have a solo film, he's also the first African American mainstream superhero. And he's done almost everything. You look at his appearances in Fantastic Four. He first joined the Avengers in issue number 52 as well, in 1968. He was the first African American to have his own solo comic book series called Jungle Action, number 6 through 24, that dropped in 1973 to 1976. So he's had a very rich history, and going back almost to the beginning of Marvel Comics. Now, myself, I've read him quite a bit in his recent iterations. I haven't gone back and done much of the older stuff, but where are you sitting as far as your comic book reading with Black Panther?
I tried going back to that run that came out. It must have been just after Secret Wars.
Yeah, the World of Wakanda stuff.
Yeah, well, just before that one came out, it was the one because he has like 3 different runs going on.
Yeah,
at the time. So this was just a standalone, completely standalone. Takes place in Wakanda. I checked out the first couple of runs. Thought it was kind of cool. My only thing is with that run, because I'm really big on like the pages and the art, and I didn't like the way the costume was designed. It sounds funny, but I'm a fan of Black Panther when his ears stick up like Batman, as opposed to folding down like a cat, I guess. But all around, I was really intrigued by one of Marvel's first motion comics that they used to do.
Yeah,
and I love that run. It's actually based off of an actual comic, and it was basically when he encounters Captain America, and Captain America goes and takes on, I believe, T'Challa's grandfather. And it was such a cool little run there. So I like that. I think you see the Rhino pop up, you see Claw, which we'll obviously see in this movie. And I really love the take they did on him with the Earth's Mightiest Heroes when he takes on the Avengers.
Yeah, awesome.
That's so cool. It's kind of like what they did with, I guess, Fantastic Four, but they took it with the Avengers scale instead, which is great. It's unfortunate that we can't use the Fantastic Four quite yet. But all in all, man, he's such a cool character. I love, him being with the Avengers is cool, but I like him with the Illuminati. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And my biggest kind of cool arc of his was actually in Secret War when he gets the gauntlet. I thought that was fantastic.
He walks out with it.
And the art too. I mean, that run was delayed for quite a bit, just for the art alone, and I totally understand why. Now it's okay, we can laugh at it, but back then we were pretty frustrated. I think it went to 7 issues and went to 9.
Took forever to come out.
But and then also his battle with Namor, that payback where Namor took out Wakanda when he joined the Phoenix 5, I think.
That goes all the way back to AVX.
Yeah, exactly.
2011.
Exactly, because when he had the power of the Phoenix Force.
Yes.
And then when he gets the last laugh on T'Challa's side, when he takes him out with Black Bolt. Yeah. And it's some great panels going on, and Black Panther is just ruthless towards Namor, and all that kind of drama I love with the character, and he has such a history in this world of the Marvel Comics. So I can't wait to see this guy on the big screen. They just had he just made the Time cover magazine as well. I think this week. Yeah. Chadwick Boseman's on there. So Time is giving this movie high praise. So that goes to show something.
Definitely. And I've experienced this character more in group stories.
Yes.
Whether it's with the Avengers, with the Illuminati, within Hickman's run, he was quite prevalent in the New Avengers.
Yeah.
I've never done particularly too many solo Black Panther runs, and that's something I've been meaning to get into. But I have to agree with you. Him in the Illuminati is some of my favorite stuff. It's just the prowess he carries.
Yes.
Within it, like he's standing shoulder to shoulder with characters like Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Professor X at one point, right? Captain America,
Doctor Strange,
and he still stands out amongst those characters, which I think goes to show how important and how great this character is. And the guys that have written him in the past and been able to develop his story over the last 4 or 5 decades it's really great to see that he's now getting the attention in the MCU films. And there's been some criticism in the past about them taking so long to get a character like this to screen. But you know what? I think I've said this in the past. I'm happy that they took their time, introduced him in Civil War, and is now giving him a proper solo film. Something that is being praised. Getting a guy like Ryan Coogler and getting a guy like Michael B. Jordan to stand opposite of him to give him a well-developed villain that can actually oppose this character and at the same time elevate him. And you see that in the comic books with a lot of the characterization of Wakanda, of T'Challa, of the history of the whole Wakandan society. I think we're going to get a lot of that in this film, and I think they're going to pull a lot from the comic books. There's early origin stories, and what they've done more recently within the last, say, 15 years, and how they developed Wakanda, introduced his sister, introduced the idea of Necropolis and the king of the city of the dead. I think we're going to see a lot of elements built into this film, but I just think that Black Panther being the first African-American superhero to get that comic book run, and also being the first to get a proper standalone film, I love that parallel. And I think it's extremely important, especially now that we're getting a character in a film like this that is so well received. And I think it's going to play a lot into what's going on in the world now.
Yes.
With the lack of diversity and everything going on in the States and all that. I think this is going to be an extremely important film for 2018, not just because it's Black Panther, but because of potentially some of the elements that it's going to explore within that, and bring some of those to the forefront and get people talking about them within a comic book film, right?
For sure.
Provide a forum, a bit more of a forum to express some of these ideas without doing it in a rash way, without doing it in a violent way, right?
Right. And without being so on the nose too.
Exactly.
Right, of course. Yeah, no, it's funny going back to what you said, because we're finally getting this character represented on the big screen. And I remember being a kid way back, and going back to Wizard Comics, I always go back to that, and people were always like, "We're gonna get Morse Chestnut. Morse Chestnut's gonna be the next Black Panther," and we were like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." It's so cool that we got Chadwick Boseman to play this character. He was great in 42.
Oh, he's awesome.
He killed it as James Brown. Like, this guy is so talented, and Forrest Whitaker is in there. Like, the whole cast for this movie is just phenomenal. And we got Michael B. That's my boy. We got him representing Killmonger in this movie. I hope he makes it out. I really, really do.
Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be a great film. Everything I've seen so far looks good. The only thing I can maybe nitpick at so far is in the trailers, there's still a little bit of CG that I feel like could be a little cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I got. Who knows? Maybe when we see the movie, it does look better.
Yeah.
I'm pretty lenient on that kind of stuff anyways, as long as it's not cyborg worthy. It doesn't really bother me too much. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned a few characters there, and one thing that we're going to run down here is some of the key players that we're going to see in this film. Of course, we're all familiar with T'Challa, Black Panther, coming from the MCU, coming from Civil War, and his appearance there. Really well received. Chadwick Boseman was awesome in that. They gave him a really cool arc without having an origin story yet. And so they're really playing on this idea of having an origin story that is also a sequel to Civil War.
Yes.
So I love how they're integrating all that. We're not going back and doing a prequel. Now, the interesting thing about Black Panther, the mantle of Black Panther, all in all, and I think we're going to see some of these elements in the film, is that it appears hereditary, correct? Like it's being passed down from T'Chaka to T'Challa. But one of the things that can be done within Wakandan society is actually challenge that by any citizen of Wakanda. And I think we saw some of that in the trailers with Michael B coming back and potentially challenging. And there's also this character, Manape, who he's one of the, I think the mountain tribes. And being a very tribal government and tribal society, I think we're going to see a lot of this play in the film, this challenging for the throne of Wakanda. And I think that's going to be one of the main motivations behind Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger, as well as, I can't remember the guy's name here that's playing Manape, Winston Duke.
Is that the one from Get Out?
I believe so. He's a really big guy. You see him in the trailer, he's kind of holding up a guy. Is it?
Oh.
Because I can't remember he has a friend in here as well.
Okay.
It's like the head of, I think, the border guards or something.
Okay.
But I think overall we're going to see a lot of the elements of Wakanda kind of play out throughout this film, and one that whole tribal society within kind of the context of this technologically advanced Wakandan nation is going to be a really cool juxtaposition of two very different elements and two very different types of potential storytelling mixed together to form this amalgamation of Wakanda.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be cool because, I mean, coming off the heels of Civil War, T'Challa was already granted basically the title of Black Panther once his dad passed. So I think it's going to be interesting when he comes back to his homeland that, we're going to have Michael B. over here challenge him, maybe right off the bat, being like, hey, man, I'm taking that from you right off the bat. You don't deserve it. So that'll be interesting to see. Wakanda is going to be so cool because, reading comics for a while there, it's always been like Gotham has been its own cool thing that you've always want to kind of see but never really live in. And then there's been Metropolis, and then there's Wakanda, like the three most like made up kind of places to live. But I feel like they're so fascinating. And Wakanda really stands on its own, being so advanced in technology. It's the most advanced place in the world, and I just can't wait to see what they do with it, especially coming off of Civil War. Again, when we see at the very end, it looked pretty cool with the big like panther kind of statue of whatnot going on. So man, it's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, and in Wakanda itself, we're talking about key players. It has to be a character in this film.
Definitely.
It's been made into a character in the comic books, and it has to play that similar role in this film. Now, whether that's just through its pure ambiance or kind of the deeper ties to kind of this idea of a tribal government and how it plays out as far as being this isolated country that's most technologically advanced society on the planet and how they meld those together. But it really has to show in itself as being a character.
Yes.
Similar to the way that the Falcon plays a character within Solo and within the Star Wars universe, Wakanda has to play a very similar role. And so they have to be able to build that up throughout the entirety of this film. And some of it's going to come down to the overall characterization of people we're seeing in this. So you're getting elements of everything from the Dora Milaje, which are the royal guards of the king. And so they're women too as well, which is really cool. So it's a huge twist on what we're used to seeing. And Aoki, something like that. So she's the leader of the Dora Milaje. She's kind of the main guard. She's the actress from Walking Dead.
That's right, yeah.
Who plays Michonne. Absolutely incredible actress. Really looking forward to seeing her. And we saw some of the Dora Milaje in Civil War as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a cool element. We got Shuri, his sister. She's somewhere between, I think, 16 and 21-ish. I'm not sure how old she's going to be in this film.
But like a genius.
Exactly. A genius level. She's the one that designed the Black Panther suit.
Yes.
We see them in the trailer. They seem to have a really great relationship. I love the handshake.
Yeah, that's great. Right, funky with the music too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
And even in the comics, she became Black Panther at one point.
That's right. And I'm curious, I'm willing to put money on it almost that because, she's pretty much Tony Stark. I won't be surprised if she designs Tony's new armor, or at least has something to do with it, because Black Panther's armor, I believe we've seen in the trailer, it works kind of extremist-like.
Yes.
And we see in the latest trailer, Infinity War, Iron Man's suit works the same way. So I won't be surprised if she kind of tinkers with it too, kind of like a cool Riri Williams moment where she kind of shows up Tony Stark by
awesome.
creating the armor a little bit. So that'd be neat to see. Yeah,
and I think she designs Winter Soldier's new arm as well.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Because
we've seen from the Infinity War trailers that he's got a new arm.
That's right.
And we know that's where he was.
Yes,
when he finished off there. Now, one of the other characters we got in here is Nakia. So this is played by Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes.
This is a character. I believe she was part of at least some sort of intelligence gathering at some point, and she was or is the former lover of T'Challa.
Okay.
So the potential to become the queen at some point in time.
Right.
And I hope what they do with this character, I hope it's not just a love interest.
Yes.
I want to see her get in on the action as well.
Yes.
And I'm really thinking with Lupita Nyong'o in there, she's got some experience. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
I hope she gets into the mix of things.
I hope so too. Please don't give us another Natalie Portman experience.
No.
I hope not. And you just never know, because Natalie Portman, again, she's an extremely great actress. But hey, you can only work with the script so much.
Exactly.
But I'm right there with you. I hope she gets right in on the action too. Maybe down the road we'll finally get that Storm romance with T'Challa down the road. I'm pushing for it because we have Angela Bassett playing the mom, who I was always voting for her to be Storm way back in the day, but that's okay. Again, another great presence in this role. I can't wait to see what she delivers, because she's going to be such a strong mother figure. I can just see it already.
Yeah, and she's coming off now no longer being the queen because of the death of T'Chaka.
Yeah,
her becoming some sort of royal advisor potentially.
Right.
But the interesting thing that I didn't quite realize until I did a little bit more digging. So her name is Ramonda in this film. Now, I know from the comic books that she's actually T'Challa's stepmother.
Okay.
Because his mother died, and I don't know if they're going to tweak this in the film or not, because his mother died quite early on. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they play this character. If it's a stepmother, how that changes that dynamic between T'Challa and his stepmother or not, Angela Bassett's character, and how they evolve that dynamic. Because that's another great two characters that can really play off each other.
Yeah.
So you've got so many strong actresses in here to play against Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that everyone gets just enough screen time that we can appreciate the characterization that they're going to bring to this film. because the dynamic's going to be different between all of them. You're going to have this mother-son dynamic. You're going to have brother-sister, potential former lover, and you're going to have almost this kind of military respect between Aoki and T'Challa as well, kind of on a much higher level of respect when it comes to fighting and skills and all that.
That's right.
So they have very strong actresses here, and they have to utilize them correctly.
That's right. And I wonder if we'll even see some kind of brotherly rivalry between Killmonger and Chadwick Boseman maybe at one point. Maybe at one point they were on good terms, and then just went sour later on. Yeah, I don't know. So.
I really hope they do a little bit more with that, because I want a Loki Thor vibe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very much so. And we know from the comics, I'm not sure how they're going to approach this, it kind of looks like they're going down this path a bit, that Killmonger was an exiled son. Mm-hmm. I believe his father and Ulysses Claw tried to overthrow T'Chaka at some point.
Way back? Okay.
And their whole family was exiled out. Mm-hmm. And it looks like Michael B's coming back to challenge for that very throne in the same way, potentially being raised somewhere else outside of Wakanda. And his suit, Eric Killmonger. Yeah. So it looks like some sort of jaguar, I would say, right? Yeah. Which is interesting because at one point in time, Stan Lee and company tried to change Black Panther to Black Jaguar to avoid association in the 70s with the Black Panther group, right? Didn't last. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see if they kind of tug on that and give a little bit of nod and say, okay, Killmonger is actually Black Jaguar or something like that, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see actually if they do pull on that.
Because I'm not sure from the comic books or not, but it seems... or I'm curious as to where he got the suit from. Because I was always under the impression that only a Black Panther could have one of those suits.
Oh. And you're talking about for Killmonger.
Yeah, because he clearly has a suit, right, of some sort. We see it in the action figures and we see it in the trailers.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering where that suit came from.
Yeah.
Because it peels on him like an extremist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it has that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
awesome.
I wonder. Because it seems kind of like... Chadwick Boseman has a bunch of different suits, kind of like a Batman kind of thing going on there too, which is kind of cool because this suit that we've seen mostly in the trailer is different than the one in Civil War.
Yeah, and we know he's getting the purple vibranium type suit thing going on too as well.
Yeah, and I really love how agile he is in that costume. Civil War, right off the bat, when I see him running like the T-1000, but there's no noise, he's just quiet the whole time when he jumps from building to building. And he leaps, you don't hear a thing. I just thought the attention to detail was so cool, and just it kept him very mobile and agile. I just love it. So I can't wait to see more of that. How swift he is in the movie.
Yeah, the suits are going to be awesome.
Yeah. And
one of the last few characters here that we are getting, you mentioned Forrest Whitaker. He's also in this. He looks to be playing like a very more religious type of tribesman. Mm-hmm. I think he goes by the name of Zuri. Okay. And he seems to be, from some of the reading I've done, the keeper of the heart-shaped herb. Now, this is a very special herb that you only get in Wakanda. And I'm wondering if they're actually going to go down this path or not. But the heart-shaped herb, simply enough, is what gives T'Challa a bit of that almost super soldier serum.
Right.
So that allows them to have that endurance, potentially, more like a Captain America type healing, jumping, and all that. Now, he has like the intelligence and all the skills that go with that, but he seems to be enhanced.
Yes.
And this herb, in the comic books at least, is why he's enhanced. And some of it has to do with the progression of becoming the king, that you have to go out and find this, go on your own type of journey. You kind of climb into the top of a mountain to get, similar to what we saw in Batman Begins, right?
That's right.
You go up and get the particular flower from wherever. This may be something that we see in the film as well, and this is why they're doing it. And you may hear the term heart-shaped herb as well.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So that's pretty cool.
That should be an interesting sequence to see, actually.
Yeah, and the big thing with the herb, and the reason it's actually a radioactive herb, it has to do with the vibranium, the radiation from the vibranium. Because that's another thing that's going to play a part in this, I think, at least, is vibranium, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've seen it play a part in Captain America. We had it referenced, of course. Age of Ultron with Ulysses Claw was a big part of it. Ultron eventually getting some sort of vibranium kind of armor or form that he got there towards the end. And it's a big part of Wakanda. It's a meteor that crashed in Wakanda. It's a metal that has maybe more slightly ambiguous elements to it, in the sense that they're probably going to use it and leverage it a bit more as the plot requires, if it's going to be a component within this film. But overall, it just basically absorbs vibrations and kinetic energy, has the ability potentially to do more, as we've seen with the suits and that. It's bulletproof, so it plays a lot like adamantium almost.
Yeah, I can't remember in the first Avenger, Captain America, did they mention that his shield was made out of vibranium? Did they mention it from way back?
They did. Say vibranium, and they say that's the only bit on Earth that we have.
Right. Yeah.
So they seemingly got it from somewhere, and then they made a shield out of it.
See, and that's so cool. And again, going back to Kevin Feige, like, and everyone over there, like the attention to detail that they've had this thought the whole time. Because I remember hearing like vibranium way early back, and it must have been that film. And I just, the first thing I think of is Black Panther. When you hear vibranium, you think of Black Panther. So they had those seeds planted from way back then in
2011.
2011. Like, that's crazy. And now we're finally getting them on the big screen. So it's so cool.
Yeah. Now, outside of Wakanda, one other location that we may see. Now, there's an interesting scene in one of the trailers there. We see T'Challa walking through, and you see almost that purple hue to the sky, and you see a panther up in a tree.
On the tree, yeah.
I think that might be Necropolis.
Okay.
Is my guess. The City of the Dead. So this is a place that eventually in the comic books, Black Panther does become the king of as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a place that it seems that you can go and commune with the past Black Panthers. We see this as a prominent thing within the comic books as well, is that he can go and talk to his father, he can talk to his grandparents and all the Black Panthers that came before him. So I think that might be an ability that we do see within the film. Now, whether it's associated with a trip from this herb or with it's something to do with a bit more of a mystical element of Wakanda, I'm not sure how they're exactly going to approach it.
Right.
But it seems like he's going to have some ability to talk to previous Black Panthers, maybe his father again, through Necropolis potentially.
It's kind of like a little bit of like a Force Ghost lounge. Right?
Exactly.
You can go to and just...
Force Ghost lounge.
Yeah.
Love it. The last character we'll talk about here before we kind of rattle off a few questions is Ulysses Claw, played by Andy Serkis, first introduced in Age of Ultron. This guy goes way back in the comic books to almost the origin story of Black Panther. He's become almost that nemesis. It's on the same level as, say, a Joker or something like that for Batman, or something along the lines of a Mandarin and Tony Stark, Iron Man. So Claw here. How do you think they're going to use him in this film? Is he going to be a villain, the main villain, or is he going to be kind of the tack onto Michael B? How do you think they're going to approach all this?
Yeah, I think he might be kind of, pulling the strings a little bit with Michael B's character. I would say a little bit, because they planted him way back in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
So that'll be neat to see. He'll definitely have the full out developed claw. I think in the trailer we saw him
shooting something.
Shooting something, right? And obviously he got his arm taken off in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
So there's definitely gonna be something going on there between them. I think it'll be a pretty big force to be reckoned with. I mean, it's Andy Serkis. He's great. Like, a lot of times people mistake him just being only a CGI specialist, acting these roles. But he's a great actor through and through. So I can't wait to see him on the big screen here.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to get a full comic accurate claw?
I think so. I think they might actually go that route. I think so. Because they went out of their way to make sure they cut it off.
They cut it off in
Age of Ultron. Yeah. So I think they might do it. They won't go full out like Bucky's arm, obviously. But they'll take a good chunk of his forearm.
Yeah, he's had a goofy looking arm sometimes. Like, claw and all. Let's see what they do with that. All right, man. We usually do a few questions here to try to almost predict a few things, and we've kind of sometimes associated with a bit of a bet and all that.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna ask a few questions here and see how close we can get. Again, spoilers, but not really spoilers. Not really going into too much depth here. First question we always like to ask: what is your opening weekend prediction for Black Panther? Domestic box office.
Domestic. I don't know. I mean, it's I think pre-ticket sales are pretty high already. I think they estimated like 140 or 150 or something crazy. So I'll probably go with 139.
139.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll lock in there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say 148.
Ooh.
I think this is going to have some serious legs this weekend.
Probably.
And if you've got that hype behind it already and you get good word of mouth coming out from the common moviegoer, you could really see this escalate to almost... You're talking, when you're getting up that high, you're talking Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you're talking Civil War.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
which is scary for an origin film, like your first opener.
I don't think there's anything... The highest origin, I think, is still... not including team-ups, is still Iron Man 1 at 98.
Wow.
Because Civil War, or sorry...
what's Spider-Man, though?
Oh yeah, you might be right. It was 117, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Homecoming may hold that title because I'm trying to think. Ant-Man, no. Doc Strange, no.
What about the first Guardians?
First Guardians did, I think, about 93.
Oh, okay.
I want to say something just in the low 90s.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does have potential to take that number one spot. And if it's as good as it is, as people are saying it is,
why not?
It probably well deserved.
Yeah, crazy.
All right, we talked about Black Panther suits.
Yes.
How many suits do you think T'Challa is going to wear in the film? Not that we're going to see, but how many he's going to wear.
How many he's going to wear? I'm going to go with 3.
Damn, that was mine. So I will say 3.5. No, I'll say 4.
Yeah, 3.5, or he'll do the Kylo Ren.
I'll say 3 new ones.
Yeah.
And the original one that he wore in Civil War.
Yeah. See, I think he's for sure going to wear that one, and then the one that we've seen throughout the whole film, and then he might have some kind of prototype or something another. In there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger make it out of this film?
Yes.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes, he has to. I mean, you can't cast a guy like Michael B. and then take him out. Yeah, one and done. No way. I think he's even gone on to say, he wants to make it up to everyone out there from Fantastic Four, even though he's not really to blame, but he's gonna be in there. He's gonna be there for a while.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you're right there too.
Yeah.
I think that he will make it out. Nice. If they're smart about this,
yes.
They're going to go down a low-key Thor vibe.
Yes.
They have to. They have to with this.
Definitely.
All right. We've mentioned this in the past, but now we need to lock it in. Will we see an Infinity Stone in Wakanda?
Because it's the soul that remains, right?
That we're missing,
yeah. Will
we see it in this film?
Yeah, we have to, because Infinity War comes up after this. there's no other opportunity for it. I'd say you have to see it in this film. It just make the most sense too.
Yeah. Will it have any relation to vibranium having an extraterrestrial origin or anything like that? Do you think?
Yeah, that's a good poll. Yeah, I'll go with that. What do you think?
I think we're definitely going to see Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
I think that's why Wakanda is so heavily featured in the Infinity War trailer.
Exactly.
Is that they've shown up to take the stone, or a stone. But is it related to vibranium, extraterrestrial origin? I think it's got to have something like that. They have to have an explanation as to why it's there. And the Infinity Stone, being the Soul Stone, it may be another thing that they use to go to Necropolis type thing. Maybe the souls of something are kept in there. But I wonder if they're also going to use it as an explanation as to why they're so advanced.
Right.
They've been using some sort of energy or something from an Infinity Stone to progress their technology to being so much more advanced than the outside world without having any sort of influence from anywhere, right?
Right.
Like the modern technology, a lot of it was derived out of World War II and all that, right?
Yeah.
And if they weren't part of anything, if they were very isolated, they need a leg up for some reason. Infinity Stone may be a way they get around that.
Do you know what it was in the comics?
It's always just been the vibranium.
Right, yeah.
Is why.
Okay.
And I think there's something to do with a lot of the radiation. And it's mostly been about the vibranium, I believe.
Right. Okay, cool.
Last question here before we wrap this up. Will we get a cameo of Bucky, Cap, or another Avenger?
Yes.
Yeah. In the film or in the Stinger?
Oh, that's You know what? Well, I was going to say we're going to see Cap, but now that you put it that way, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a reference of Cap somehow throughout the film, whether it's a shield, wherever the case is, and then at the end of the movie, we see Cap appear. I just think for me, it kind of makes sense. Like you had Spider-Man and Black Panther introduced in Civil War, and Spider-Man was Team Iron Man, and well, actually, I guess Black Panther was Team Iron Man too, but then he kind of went to Cap.
Yeah.
So you saw Iron Man kind of, wing it with Spidey, and then you'd see Cap wing it with Black Panther. So I'm going to go with Cap in this film. Plus, it just makes sense because he's in Wakanda.
Yeah.
He can't be in the States.
No.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I definitely think there's going to be a cameo. I'm going to say a direct cameo from Bucky.
In the film.
That's hard.
Because you can see him in the background.
At the end of the film, when they're done telling the story, we'll see Black Panther. Or Black Panther, of course. We'll see Bucky, and there'll be definitely a direct reference to Shuri making his arm.
Okay.
And I also think there's going to be an indirect Captain America reference with regards to the shield. Her making the shield, or at least us seeing it, or someone having it on their wrist and seeing it pop out.
Yeah, demonstrating it almost.
Because to me, they have gone out of their way to show the Captain America shield in Black Panther, or in the Infinity War trailers. We had it in the Legend. We're going to see that Legend probably in a couple days. Yeah. They had it in that trailer. There's no real reason why they had to have that scene other than it was really cool.
Yeah.
But now if you see in the Stinger her creating that and you link that up to Infinity War, it just provides more of a subtle connection to that without outright having Chris Evans appear in the film.
Right.
So that's my prediction. Bucky in the film towards the end.
Yeah.
In no way related to the story, but just linking it to Infinity War, and the Stinger's her creating Captain America's new shield.
Like it. So there's no chance we'll see one last more Thanos appearance?
I don't
scene?
think so.
No. Because if anything, that would have been Guardians. Hey?
Yeah, or Thor Ragnarok.
Or Thor, yeah.
Well, we kind of get his ship, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I don't think so. I think it would be the key ties would be the Infinity Stone and then Bucky and an indirect reference to Cap. That's my prediction there.
Cool.
So, big things,
Liking it. We see it soon. I guess when this movie comes out, or when this podcast debuts, we'll be in the theater pretty soon right after.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it. Cannot wait. I love talking about these preludes and getting into Black Panther and all that. And we really hope you guys get out there and see this. I think it's going to be a real film that is going to be... It's really warranted to go out and see this in theaters. So if you skip the last couple of Marvel movies waiting for them to come out on Blu-ray or whatever, Thor Ragnarok and that, I'd highly recommend going and see that. But I think this is going to be a really important film to see, not only for its significance within the genre, but also for tying directly into Infinity War, which we're going to see in a short few months.
Yeah.
So overall, this thing's looking awesome. Cannot wait to see it. We're going to be sitting down and reviewing it next week, talking all things Black Panther. Cannot wait to get into that. Sanjay's going to be back at the table, and we're going to be walking through this movie in a great amount of detail as it's part of our overall MCU retrospective series. As we're going back and revisiting films, we're also slotting in these weekend of release reviews as well into this. So you'll see that debut next Thursday.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if you guys would like to be a part of the show, throw your questions towards us about Black Panther. You can always email us at thenerdrm@gmail.com. You can hit us up on our Facebook or our YouTube pages. You can grab us at thenerdroom.net. Just click on contacts. You can send us an email. And you can always hit us up on Twitter. Our handles are at the end of the episode. I'd like to acknowledge two guys before we sign off here. One being Steve Kirk from the San Diego Sabres radio podcast. He did send us a question in that was very Sanjay-centric, so we left that until next week. As well as Grabs Granite was back at it again. But again, it really requires Sanjay to be at the table, so we're saving that question for when he's back at the table. So we do appreciate you guys sending in those questions, but sometimes we like to leave them so we have kind of the full mix of guys here to discuss and run through those and give them a really worthy round at the table here from all three of us. So thank you guys for sending them in, and look out for next week. We may try to hit them off towards the end of the episode after we review Black Panther next week.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's going to be crazy. You know, we're buckled in. This is, I guess, the launch of superhero films for 2018. This is the kickoff. It's going to be crazy going on forward here.
Yeah, cannot wait. So until then, guys, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
I'm Troy.
And thank you for entering the Nerd Room.
This has been a Nerd Room podcast production. You can find our hosts, Tim, Troy, and Sanjay on Twitter at TheNerdRM, TroyTheBoy87, and Sunjabby. For more content from the Nerd Room, check out thenerdroom.net. And don't forget to subscribe to the Nerd Room on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. Be sure to head over to StarWarsCommonwealth.com to find more podcasts in the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, including Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron Podcast, Skyros Podcast, and San Diego Sabres. Follow the Star Wars Commonwealth on Twitter at SW Commonwealth and take your first steps into a larger world.